Haven't been Netanyahu's first choice of victims for many, many years because of who my father was and how I symbolized the USA, and how he could have fun getting my peers to turn on me. I have come to understand Netanyahu's crippled mind better than others. There are facets that bear dissembling. One of which is that he's authoring a series of genocides with the Netanyahu rub it in your face technique. The rub it in your face technique is clear. It would be analogous to having a window through which you watched, to your surprise, a strangling. And the curtains closed. And on the curtains was the illusion of a strangling. Then the curtains opened and there was nothing there. The strangler comes out and says, "Oh, hello." Say, "What is that I just saw you do?" And he closes the curtains and says, "That's illusion on the curtains." And he realizes that the person you saw strangled is someone you didn't like very much. So when you say, "Oh, thank you for explaining," that's your way of winking, "Thank you for taking care of business, Netanyahu." That's how he goes about it. He makes the victims successively more sympathetic to you so that he can enjoy being revolted by your complicity, because the message is that he wants to make sure that he hates you. He wants to make sure that the United States doesn't think they're better than anybody else. Okay, so there's Netanyahu's mind. Now, in a couple of minutes, you can figure out what happened with COVID-19 because there's evidence. But if you get a primer to just get the basic facts, you can solve the problem, and then it's up to your research if you want to enrich your understanding. Like Foucault went to Iran just before the Iran-Contra triangle of the fundamentalist tripartite state, which means that the decadent left was in cahoots with the bizarre right-wing religious extremists in the AIDS attack. And they had suicide bombers. Yes, right from the left wing of Seattle, they had suicide bombers. Now, the masks from the Wuhan Tea Party at Tacoma Community College come on the heels of some inquiry as to whether there's actual rescue of books from the medieval period of the Greeks by the Muslims and in the Dark Ages. You know, they may have invented the veils to protect themselves from bacillus that was in the air. So there's always been sort of a shroud of laughter that comes from trumping tunes laughing, blaming the bat feces of China. But long before they started saying those innuendos, they were talking about bat shit crazy, and they were talking about geriatricide and teaching about it. So they had it all figured. They were talking about catastrophizing, and then they had Ruth being very helpful, and then we were ruthless. And it was all pun cripe of the sort that Netanyahu brokered with the Prince Thorals and Toon and Putin behind the scenes. I call them the leapfrog oligarchs, who had come to the conclusion that out of the many, we could derive representatives of the few, a kind of archery team. So really, there's nothing sinister about Islam being reinforced by the COVID-19 masks, except in showing that they were involved.